Hello everybody, long time no see. It's been quite a while since I posted. Of course I'm not looking at my channel right now, but probably my wedding video, our wedding video was the last video that I posted on my channel. So here's my birth story. I ended up actually typing it out on my phone because there was so much information that I just wanted to make sure I got all that across and didn't miss anything. And you'll kind of notice through the story, I was on certain medications during my birth process that I didn't necessarily remember everything, and I needed to ask Eli about what happened and have it typed out so that I actually remembered it. Grab a snack, grab a drink. This is a little bit of a lengthy one, but yeah, if you're interested, then keep on watching. So my birth story is not conventional. To start, when I was around 23 weeks pregnant, I was diagnosed with gestational hypertension. So what that is it's high blood pressure, related to pregnancy. It's typically diagnosed with gestational hypertension after you're 20 weeks pregnant. It was my first baby, so that's what my midwife told me, that was probably a reason that I got it. I have a history of high blood pressure in my family, but basically with it being my first baby and then with me being 21, my body wasn't used to, my heart wasn't used to that much blood pumping through it. My blood pressure was pretty elevated. With that, I had consistently been getting labs drawn. So I had weekly appointments with my doctor after I was diagnosed at 23 weeks. So every single week I had a doctor's appointment. Blood draws, urine tests, and blood pressure checks. Why that is, there's always a chance that with gestational hypertension, it'll turn into preeclampsia. That's called the toxemia of pregnancy. It's extremely dangerous. It can kill you. It can kill your baby. It can shut your kidneys and your liver down. Give you stroke, heart attack. It's really bad. And the high blood pressure, how preeclampsia is diagnosed if you don't have any other symptoms, is with high blood pressure and protein found in your urine. In normal cases that it's diagnosed, it causes edema, which is fluid retention. So not just the whole, like, my ankles are swollen because of pregnancy. It's typically everywhere, and it's extreme swelling. You can look at pictures if you want. It's very upsetting. Seizures, stroke, low birth weight for infant, preterm birth, kidney shutting down, and possibly death for you and your infant. At my 30-week appointment, my midwife told me the best thing to do would be to induce me at 37 weeks. Why they had chosen to do that is with anybody that has gestational hypertension, each week that goes by, even each day that goes by, at any moment, the gestational hypertension can turn into preeclampsia. So yeah, they just wanted to be better safe than sorry, and 37 weeks was like the soonest, safest date that they can induce me. I was 34 weeks pregnant, sitting on my couch at home. I was just watching a movie. I wasn't even exerting myself. All of a sudden, I started to get twinkles in my right eye, and I ended up not being able to see. The way that I can explain that is, it's like when someone takes like a photo with flash and then your eyes are a little bit bugged out and you can't really see. It was like that, but it wasn't going away. So I was consistently checking my blood pressures at home from the time that I was diagnosed with the hypertension. So I went and took my blood pressure. It was in 160s over 90s, which my midwife had told me my entire pregnancy, if that ever happens, you need to go to the ER because that's stroke level. So I called my mom because Eli was at work, and she took me to the ER. Then I was diagnosed with mild preeclampsia with little to no symptoms. Only thing that I had was the high blood pressure and then the protein in my urine, because they were in those labs. I didn't have the edema, I didn't have anything else. So yeah, fun time. About 2 weeks later, So I was 36 weeks pregnant at this point. It was the morning of Friday, September 4th. I had my hospital bag already in the car. Just because I was driving all the way to Anchorage for my appointments, it was like better safe than sorry. Just have my stuff in the car. We were getting close to that point anyway. I was going to my OB appointment, and then I had a maternal fetal medicine appointment. So what that appointment is it's regular monitoring of the baby to make sure his lungs are developed. And when I was diagnosed with preeclampsia, they gave me something called a betamethasone shot. So what that is it speeds up the process that the baby's lungs are developing. And it's a shot in your butt, and it's a huge ass needle. And you have to get 2 of them. Super fun. Went to my first appointment early in the morning. I want to say it was about early in the morning. It was like 10 o'clock. And my blood pressure was 143/90, which is high, but that's what my blood pressure was like normally running. OB wasn't alarmed. We scheduled my induction for Sunday, September 13th. After that appointment, so my next appointment was 20 minutes later. It was upstairs. They do the monitoring of the baby. So like the ultrasound and everything, looking at his lungs, looking at his breathing. I do my blood pressure check every 15 minutes for an hour. My blood pressure was reading 156/90. And this was legitimately about 20 minutes later from my last appointment. So the nurse was alarmed. She called the doctor in charge of the MFM clinic. They recommended I went across the street to OB triage, have them monitor me a bit more closely to be better safe than sorry, since we lived out in Wasilla. Get over to triage. They hook me up to monitors again. I sat there for about an hour. The nurses weren't telling me what my blood pressure was. I'm assuming to try not to freak me out, but not knowing was freaking me out. But apparently it was rising and it was not dropping. Quickly stuff apparently started to go south. They were taking more blood, putting a line to connect an IV to my arm, doing COVID swab, and we're having an ultrasound done on the baby. The OB in charge that day came into the triage room, told me I wasn't leaving, and that we were going to start the delivery process. My preeclampsia had progressed to severe features, and we were going to start the induction. So I started to kind of have a panic attack at this point. I went into the bathroom to change into a hospital gown, and I bawled my eyes out. I was scared. I was supposed to have another week to prep, and I was supposed to have another week to, like, for the baby to grow. And I didn't get that. But knowing now, it was for my safety and it was for his safety. Sorry, my battery died, so I had to change camera batteries, so if the positioning looks different, that's why. You may end up joining the video today. I was actually taking the delivery room. I was texting Eli, I was texting my mom, and I was texting my dad about what was going on, because I wasn't super open with everybody about the fact that I had preeclampsia. I just didn't want anybody to freak out. So I was texting Eli, I'm like, you need to come into Anchorage. They're not letting me leave. So please get off work, go get your stuff, and then come in. I don't know how long we're gonna be here for. Once I was changed into my hospital gown, got out of the bathroom, went into the hospital bed. One of the midwives came in to check me, told me I was 70% effaced. And the nurse came in to tell me they were going to start me on magnesium sulfate. I'm usually a very good patient, okay? At this point, I was pissed. And I was like, well, what is that? And they were like, well, it's to keep you from having a stroke or a seizure. It's a muscle relaxer. And I was like, well, how long may I have to be on that? And they're like, until 24 hours after you give birth. And here's all the side effects. Side effects are nausea, feels like it basically feels like you had the flu. Double vision, that is a drug from hell. That is all I can say. And yes, it did save me, and it did save my baby's life, but I have never felt that sick in my entire life. But being on MAG meant that I wasn't going to be able to do anything in my birth plan. No progressing freely without intermittent monitoring, no baths, no showers, walking around, that I would have to be on bed rest, stay in my hospital bed, with the exception to get up and go to the bathroom until I delivered the baby. I mourned my birth plan. I bawled my eyes out. I didn't get to do anything that I wanted to do with my birth plan. And that was really hard. They told me the MAG was to keep me from dying and to keep the baby healthy, to prevent all those really bad things. But as soon as they put that IV in my arm with that medication, I started to feel very sick. So started to give me meds to start to lower my blood pressure. After hooking me up to that, we started the induction process, which is taking a cervical ripener. I hate that word, ripe. Misoprostol to start getting my cervix ready for dilation. I took this for about 18 to 20 hours. Again, I was so messed up on that the magnesium sulfate, that I don't actually know how long I took it. I know that there was at least 3 to 4 rounds every 1 to 2 hours. I don't know. So once we got to that, they checked me. I was only dilated to 1 centimeter at this point. They started me on Pitocin. I was terrified of Pitocin. I've only heard horror stories, drug from hell, like, but I have to say, it was not that bad. Maybe I just lucked out, like, with that part. So after a while, Pitocin wasn't speeding things along by itself. They had me on a pretty high dose, and you could see my contractions on the monitor, but it wasn't making them stronger. And they did have me on, like, they had me on a pretty high dose. The highest they can give you is 40, and I was on 20. Then they suggested this thing called a Cook's balloon. I will insert a picture. So, what this was a catheter with 2 balloons at the end. One went into my cervix and the other went into my vagina. I writhed in pain and couldn't sit or lay down. Nurse helped me onto a birthing ball to help ease the pain. I was just sitting there with my IV, just holding on to that. And I knew that within the next day or so, I was gonna go in, like, to labor, and I was gonna have the baby, and I needed my energy for that. But with this balloon in there, I knew I wasn't gonna be able to sleep. They suggested some pain meds so I'd at least be able to sleep. So they inserted them into my IV. I began to feel very, very dizzy and told my nurse I needed to lay down, and started tripping the hell out. My head was spinning, I couldn't keep my eyes open, and according to Eli, I passed out for 4 hours. And I would occasionally wake up and be like, I need to get some sleep. I don't remember any of that. I'm gonna go get little man. This is Atreyus. Say hi. Hello. When I finally woke up again, the pain was unbearable. I called my nurse to come in, asked her to take it out. So she came in to check if it was ready to come out yet. Comes out at 3 to 4 centimeters of dilation. With a tiny tug on that catheter, that thing finally came out. To be honest, I would have rather been in labor for an entire another day than ever have that thing again. It was about 7 a.m. on September 6th, my 3rd day of being in the hospital. It was Eli's birthday. The Pitocin still wasn't making things much stronger, and the OB decided Well, she suggested that we break my water. They did that. If you don't know how they do that, it's kind of like a crochet hook. And they just hook it up there and break the bag of water, and it feels like you pee. And yeah, super fun. I was still on the Pitocin at this point. And about an hour after they broke my water, my contractions started to become stronger and closer together. I decided that I wanted to get an epidural. My situation had been different. If I would have been able to have a natural birth like I had wanted to and be able to get up and walk around, then I probably wouldn't have gotten an epidural. But being stuck in a hospital bed, I was not gonna progress without a little bit of pain management. So they gave me an epidural. Couldn't feel my contractions anymore, and my legs were tingly. Since I had some pain relief, I took a 2-hour nap. It's one of the best naps I have ever had. I was so exhausted at that point. When I woke up, I felt like I was feeling my contractions again. I called the nurse in. She told me to press the button of the epidural to administer more of it. How that works, if you've had it, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. You can press this little green button once every 15 minutes to get some more pain management from the epidural. Pressed that twice. It still didn't help. I called her back in, and she called the OB to come in and check me. And immediately went, I can feel his head right there. You're dilated to 10 centimeters and we're gonna start pushing. The nurse had me do practice pushes, and after 20 minutes, Atreyus was born. 5 pounds, 3 ounces, and 19 inches long. When he was born, he was crying, and I'll insert some clips from the birth here, the stuff that I can actually post on YouTube.
Hi, love bug. You guys, how are you? Can you tell us some wine, please? Yeah,
He's a good guy.
Is that right there? Perfect.
I'm just gonna listen to his little heart, okay? You just hold him like that.
Is it just the left side? Just pull it to the side.
Oh, he has hair. He's got hair.
You can just pull the sheet over if you want. That's all I really want it out of the way.
Still is a little bit. Just wanted to
Yeah,
keep
he's
up
just
a little bit more.
His heart rate sounds good, but he's just like...
He was a tiny bit blue, as you'll be able to see in the video. So after the cord was cut, they put him under a heat lamp for a little bit. Surprisingly calm. Within the next 12 hours, he slept a lot. He wasn't waking to eat and was having issues staying warm. And about 1 a.m. on September 7th, he was taken over to the NICU. Him being born at 36 weeks, the preeclampsia, the magnesium sulfate, and the blood pressure meds that I was on, he was unable to regulate his blood sugar. So basically what that means is, with low blood sugar, like as an adult, I'm sure you know, you get sluggish, you get really tired. But with babies, he was getting sluggish, he was getting really tired, and so he was not able to stay awake to eat. He did not have a want to eat, and with that, he couldn't stay warm. During the time he was in there, he essentially had to gain more body fat stores to regulate his blood sugars on his own and learn to eat without a tube. On day 2 of him being in there, I was discharged from the hospital, and we had to leave without our baby. Seeing other parents leave with their babies physically and emotionally hurt, I felt like this was somehow my fault, and I felt like my body had failed me and him. That if I could have been more active, not given into pregnancy cravings, not let little things stress me out all the time, just be healthier, that none of this would have happened. And in reality, there was nothing that I could do to prevent it. The next 13 days, we were on his time, so it was all dependent on him and how long it would take him to get better. Going through this during a pandemic made it that much harder. My postpartum depression hit extremely hard. But I wasn't going back home to Wasilla until the baby was home. 13 rolled around, our little man was finally discharged from the NICU. All of his stuff had finally stabilized and we no longer had anything to worry about. Since then, he's been gaining weight steadily and it's almost like nothing ever happened. Yeah, that was my birth story. And then that's how this chunky little man came into the world. He's now like 9 pounds. So like 4 pounds up from his birth weight. That's pretty cool. And he's not even 2 months yet. Hope you guys enjoyed my non-conventional birth story. It was a bit of the lengthy one and I'm sorry about that. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Hoping to make some more videos soon. So little man has stuff to look back on. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.